The night hung over London like a velvet shroud, silent except for the hum of the underground trains and the soft drizzle painting the streets silver. Deep beneath the heart of the city, hidden below layers of concrete and secrecy, lay something not even most government officials knew existed: the Sovereign Vault. It wasn't a bank, not in the traditional sense. It was where the British government kept the things that couldn't be insured, traded, or even acknowledged: priceless artifacts, coded documents, black budget technology, and something far more dangerous than gold. At precisely 2:13 a.m., a small team descended into that underworld. No alarms, no chaos, no shouting, just the quiet precision of masters at work. Their leader was known only as Vale. No surname, no record, no past anyone could trace. He moved through shadows like they were his element, his eyes reflecting the dim glow of the emergency lights as he walked through the maintenance tunnel beneath Westminster. Every step was deliberate, every breath measured. He wasn't a man chasing wealth. He was a man chasing truth and revenge. 2 years earlier, Vale had been a special operative for an intelligence division that technically didn't exist. His missions were off the books, his loyalty unquestioned, until one night, a deal went wrong in Istanbul, and his entire unit was wiped out, except him. The government called it a terrorist strike. Vale knew better. Someone inside had sold them out. And when he tried to uncover who, the system turned on him. His records erased, his accounts frozen, his name deleted. The message was clear: disappear or die. He chose the former. But men like Vale don't vanish forever. They wait. They plan. Now, standing in the tunnel with 3 others he trusted more than himself, he was ready to make his move. There was Nyla, the hacker who once shut down a government satellite array from a cafe in Prague. Rafe, the driver and engineer who could turn any machine into an extension of his will. And Ezra, the ghost, a former spy turned infiltrator, silent and ruthless. Each of them had a reason to be here, and none of them had anything left to lose. They had spent 8 months preparing for this. The blueprint of the vault didn't exist, not digitally. So they created one from memory and stolen fragments of architectural data. The vault was buried beneath 3 security layers: electromagnetic barriers, biometric locks, and something far newer: quantum encryption that required real-time identity synchronization with a central defense system. But Vale wasn't after the gold or the ancient relics stored down there. He wanted one drive, labeled Project Seraph. It was the key to proving who ordered his team's execution. At 2:27 a.m., Nyla cracked the outer firewall. Her voice came through Vale's earpiece, calm but tight. "We're in. You've got 7 minutes before the system recalibrates." Vale gave a slight nod. Rafe opened a reinforced panel in the tunnel, revealing an old maintenance shaft that hadn't been touched in decades. The air was cold and metallic. They climbed one by one, the faint sound of dripping water echoing through the dark. When they reached the sublevel, Ezra disabled the first laser grid using a compact mirror assembly. It was beautiful in its precision, deadly, silent, impossible to detect unless you knew exactly where to look. They moved like dancers, each step rehearsed. A single mistake meant instant death, or worse, capture. By the time they reached the inner gate, the tension in the air could have cut glass. The biometric system was designed to reject any unauthorized DNA within milliseconds. But Nyla had already cloned a low-ranking technician's genetic signature from a cigarette, but taken weeks ago. The scanner blinked green. The door hissed open. The Sovereign Vault was unlike anything Vale had imagined. Rows of steel chambers lined a circular room, each sealed with reinforced glass and magnetic locks. The lights above were soft, sterile, humming with low energy. It felt less like a bank and more like a cathedral, a temple to secrets. In the center stood a black pedestal with a single device resting on top, a sleek cube with no markings except for one small line of text: Seraph. Vale approached it slowly. He'd spent years searching for this. He could almost feel the ghosts of his fallen team standing beside him. Nyla's voice broke through the silence. "We've got company. Someone just accessed the elevator from topside." Vale didn't flinch. "Time." 3 minutes. He took the drive and slipped it into a secure case. Rafe began sealing the exit point, but Ezra froze, his expression unreadable. This was too easy, he muttered. They wanted us here. Before Vale could respond, the vault lights dimmed. A cold voice filled the chamber through the speakers. Welcome back, Agent Vale. You've been difficult to track down. Vale's jaw tightened. The voice belonged to Director Alcott, the man who had betrayed him. You killed them, Vale said quietly. My entire unit. They were liabilities, Alcott replied. You included. But I must say, I admire your persistence. Unfortunately, this ends where it began. The security doors slammed shut. Gas began hissing from vents. Nyla immediately started overriding the control systems, her fingers a blur over her portable console. I can slow it down, not stop it, she said. You've got 90 seconds. Rafe tore open a ventilation grate, trying to find another route. Ezra scanned the chamber with his infrared lens. There, he said, pointing to a service hatch behind one of the vault units. Vale handed Nyla the case. Go. Get out. She hesitated. What about you? Vale's eyes were calm. Steady. I started this. I'll finish it. The others slipped through the hatch as the gas thickened. Vale stood alone, breathing hard, his vision starting to blur. The voice echoed again. You were a good soldier, Vale, but you never learned. Loyalty is just another currency. Vale smiled faintly. Then consider this my withdrawal. He pulled a small detonator from his vest. Hidden beneath the floor, Rafe had planted microcharges earlier as a contingency. Vale pressed the trigger. The explosion tore through the chamber, shattering glass, igniting the gas, and sending shockwaves through the underground tunnels. Hours later, emergency crews swarmed the ruins of the lower complex. The official report stated it was a structural collapse during a classified operation. No mention of intruders. No mention of Vale. But far from the site, in a safe house along the Thames, Nyla connected the Seraph drive to an isolated terminal. As the screen came alive, lines of encrypted data filled the monitor, files stamped with the insignia of the same covert branch that had once employed Vale. Buried among them were video feeds, internal communications, and one chilling document titled Operation Reclamation. At the bottom of the file was a single signature, Director Alcott. Nyla exhaled slowly. You were right, she whispered. Behind her, the shadows shifted, and Vale stepped out of the dark. His clothes were scorched, his face cut, but his eyes burned with quiet fire. We're not done, he said. Not until every secret sees the light. Outside, the first light of dawn touched the river, washing the city in pale gold. London would wake to another ordinary day, unaware that beneath its streets, a war of truth had just begun. And somewhere in that quiet, as the wind moved across the rooftops, Vale's words lingered like an oath, whispered, defiant, unbroken. The heist was never for money. It was for justice.